Hi there and welcome back to Model Horses, of course. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about books and in particular reference books and price guides. First question, do we need them? In my opinion, the answer is yes. The internet is not forever. We have lost a lot of information when websites go down. GeoCities, AngelFire, MySpace, we've lost a lot of information. If you move from device to device, you lose your bookmarks, and the search engines that we have nowadays are not set up to find us obscure hobby information. They're set up to sell you things. So if you're involved in any kind of a hobby, but model horses in particular, I do encourage you to have some books, some reference books for various reasons. So I just brought a couple of books to talk about in general the kind of books that are available. Then in one of my next videos, I'll talk specifically about some that I recommend. One of the most common kind of books is the generic price guide. So this is 501 Collectible Horses, a handbook and a price guide. It has lots of nice color pictures. It was wonderful back in the day, but it's very generic and has very little actual information. It'll say ceramic pony with toothpick holder. It doesn't give you much. It has nice pictures. A lot of times they'll be in color, but generic price guides usually aren't the most useful. Another type of guide is I don't even know if they have a genre, but this one's Flea Market Fidos, the dish on dog junk and canine collectibles. It doesn't have a price guide, but inside it has lots of nice color pictures of dog collectibles, a variety of them. But again, it's a very wide subject, doesn't have a lot of information. It'll say something like you'll have a category called boxes, doorstops, linens, needlepoint, and games. And you'll have some nice pictures of stuff, but not a lot of information. Sometimes you'll get some really nice pictures, you'll get some display ideas, but probably not the most useful type of guide. However, there are always exceptions. So this is Metal Horse Figurines. It's a generic price guide. They're grouped by size, but the author has done a ton of research and done a lot of organization. So even though it's art souvenir toy, Western tack 3.5 inches, there will be information on who the manufacturer was, Dodge, comparison photo, notice the photos on the right. It gives you at least some information to help you identify your pieces. So more specific price guides can be useful if you know what you're getting into when you buy them. Some of them, like the Metal Horse guides made by a collector, can be more useful. Then we start to get into the more useful reference books. So this is Royal Worcester Animals. And these were put out by Charlton a long time ago, but they're wonderful. They're called price guides, but they have tons of information. They will give you the model name, who sculpted it, how tall it is, when it was issued, who made it, what the price guides are. These are mostly black and white, but there is some color sections. But tons of information, very well organized, and a lot of these pieces you will not find on the internet. So if you have a piece in your collection, or if you're looking for something, you may or may not find any information on it until you go back to these original price guides that have pictures of almost everything that Worcester ever made, along with the information on the modeler, the production dates, variations. These are where we start to get more useful information. Not always, but not always. So here's The World of My Little Pony, a guide to My Little Pony collectibles. Lots of nice big color pictures, good information. It'll tell you about when it was produced, where it was made, how long it was made. So even though this is kind of more along the lines of a price guide, there is a lot of good information in there for this specific type. So if you're looking for something specific, My Little Ponies, Bestwick Animals, Royal Worcester, and you find a guide on them that has information in them, a lot of this information can no longer be found on the internet, because all of us hobbyists that had all of those fun websites back in the day, they're just hard to maintain and expensive, and they've been taken down. So these can be more useful. Then we start to get into more specific price guides. This one's on California Pottery Scrapbook Identification and Value Guide. Boy, the guy that makes these, Jack Chipman, knows his stuff. And this one is organized by date and manufacturer. It has lots of color pictures, and it has tons of information. It's a little more generic because it's on all California pottery, but it gives you the information on, this is by Treasure Craft, this is when these were made, here's a hang tag, here's some information on it. The guy that made these definitely knew his stuff, and so these are very useful at finding information about things, information that's been lost over the years. A lot of these smaller manufacturers, and even the bigger ones, there's a dedicated fan base, but they may or may not have the information out on the internet. So if you want to find out about the piece, sometimes you got to hit the reference books. Then we have the super reference books, something like this, Breyer Molds and Models by Nancy Atkinson Young, very big. This is a reference price. This is the everything kind of guide that is going to be the most useful for a collector. The front of it has lots of pictures of almost everything that Breyer produced through 1997. Lots and lots of pictures, values that are no longer really useful, but information on them. And then the entire back of the book, half of the book is reference, small point, very detailed information on sculptors and categories and tack and every single variation that we know of. Look at how much little tiny font information is back here. This is the kind of stuff that a collector needs to know that doesn't exist on the internet anymore. It's been lost. So as a collector, I do believe we need a reference library. The type of collector you are will dictate what kind of reference library. Lots of good information, reference guides, very specific to one particular manufacturer or type of guide, whether you want information on display or just some cute pictures. They're all different types of books. So that was just a quick overview. Next time or in one of my next videos, I'll talk in more detail about some of the books that I do recommend that model horse collectors specifically should have in their reference library. So I hope you enjoyed that and learned something, and I'll be back again soon with some more information. Thank you.